Low-cost carrier, one of the most popular airline business models across the globe, especially here in the United States. Airlines classified as low-cost provide cheaper flights in exchange for comfort and services, providing less for less. However, there's a subcategory of airline which in the United States is even more competitive, known as the Ultra Low-Cost Carrier, or ULCC for short. In America, there are 5 airlines known for being ULCCs, but only 3 of them are incredibly well known, being Spirit, Frontier, and Allegiant. The other 2 are overshadowed by these large airlines, being Sun Country and Avelo. Today, our focus is on the bigger of the 2, Sun Country Airlines. Meet one of the strangest and least known mainline carriers in the United States, Sun Country. My name is Columbus Aviation. Thank you for joining us today as I will be introducing you to yet another obscure airline. If you want to suggest an airline to be featured, please comment down below and I'll try to get to it. Thank you. Sun Country Airlines is based at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, operating out of Terminal 2, otherwise known as the Humphrey Terminal. Mainly low-cost carriers and their partners operate out of this terminal, which means Sun Country is most definitely not out of place. The airline actually has quite a history, being founded in 1983, operating with a leased Boeing 727, going on to acquire nearly 45, alongside another 10 aircraft from the Douglas DC-10 family. Now should be a good time to mention that Sun Country started as a leisure airline doing charters, not as an ultra-low-cost carrier. In 1996, the airline redesigned its livery and introduced the sundial logo, which is still used today with minor revisions. Unfortunately, in 2001, Sun Country suspended its operations to resolve some issues in bankruptcy and then relaunched in 2002, coming with a whole new approach. 2002 brought a new livery to the table, featuring a redesigned version of the sundial along with an all-Boeing 737 fleet, operating the 737 Next Generation family of aircraft. I'll touch more on the current fleet later. 2006 brought new management, which was incredibly short-lived. By 2008, the owner of the company that acquired Sun Country, Tom Petters of Petters Group Worldwide, was discovered to be a complete phony. Sun Country's new management was actually a $3 billion Ponzi scheme. Talk about bad luck. In 2008, the airline went back into Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Tom Petters is now serving 50 years in prison for a number of different types of fraud charges. Around the same time, they introduced the Boeing 737-700 into their fleet. In 2011, Sun Country was purchased by yet another new holding company, which this time was not a massive fraud, and began to move to the ultra-low-cost business model that they now have. In 2016, the airline revealed a new livery which was a tweaked, stripped-back version of the previous one. Not all of their aircraft were repainted, and in 2018, they revealed a new livery, which is now their current main livery. Only 6 years later, Sun Country was sold once again to Apollo Group Management, which completely transformed the airline into a low-cost carrier. In 2019, Sun Country announced that it would begin operating flights for Amazon Air, which first occurred in 2020. In 2023, the airline announced another big step in its fleet development. They plan to acquire 5 new aircraft, the Boeing 737-900ER. Funnily enough, on the day that I'm researching and scripting this video, September 26, 2025, Sun Country entered their first of the 5 new aircraft into service, which was November 904 Sierra Yankee, as Sun Country 603 to Phoenix, from their home base in Minneapolis. The next 3 departures, the most recent of which is still active at the time of writing, were delayed. Before we move on to their operations, network, and fleet, I think it's important to take a look at their cabin. Looking at their seats, they seem quite nice for a ULCC. Not something you'd expect to find. The fact that they offer power, even if it is just USB-A ports, is still quite accommodating for an ultra-low-cost airline. Sun Country has an interesting sort of style with their operations, and honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but this isn't an opinion-based video. The airline serves quite a few destinations across the United States, Canada, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. Take a look at the route map to see how large their network is. which almost exclusively meets up in Minneapolis. Now get this, Sun Country serves 20 destinations year-round. That's it, just 20! Out of all of those destinations, the 20 listed on screen are the only routes served on a non-seasonal basis. However, the airline has many other ways that it brings in income, aside from its commercial passenger operations. For one, it operates a fleet of Boeing 737-800 BCFs for Amazon Air, being Amazon's primary operator of the type. Alongside their cargo operations, Sun Country has multiple charter contracts keeping it afloat. Firstly, they are the official airline of the MLS, or Major League Soccer, in the United States, chartering their teams to the games. Another interesting tidbit about Sun Country is their other charters. It's very common to see Sun Country aircraft going to Bullhead City, Arizona, Atlantic City, New Jersey, or Gulfport, Mississippi. I noticed quite a few of these flights out of my home airport, CMH, even though we only get seasonal Minneapolis service, so I decided to do some digging. I eventually found out that these were casino charters, which makes sense, as all of these airports have nearby casino resorts. However, I wasn't 100% sure, so I decided to dig a little bit further. What I ended up finding was Caesars Rewards Air, owned by Caesars Entertainment. Here's where everything comes together. Caesars Rewards Air's website is where Sun Country's casino charters are booked, rather than their own website. In the FAQ on the Caesars website, it stated, "We currently offer flights to Atlantic City, Biloxi, Laughlin, Northern Nevada, New Orleans, Iowa, Bettendorf, and Las Vegas." That was just enough for me to confirm it, but I wanted to do one final check. On the website section called Upcoming Flight Information, I found a flight from an airport I knew Sun Country didn't serve. Went to that airport on Flight Radar 24, and lo and behold, a Sun Country flight. To wrap up the operations category, Sun Country operates casino charters, MLS charters, and cargo flights for Amazon, aside from their regular passenger service. As promised, it's time to take a look at Sun Country's current fleet. Please note that the following is 100% subject to change and likely will in the future. Sun Country Airlines currently operates 64 aircraft with another 5 on order, all of which are in the Boeing 737 Next Generation family of aircraft. Without further ado, let's start with the smallest, being the 737-800 with 44 in service. One of the 44 is in a VIP configuration with 68 seats for charters. Currently, one of the commercial 737-800s is painted in a special livery, sponsoring the Minnesota Golden Gophers athletics. The Boeing 737-900ER with 1 in service and 4 on order. And finally, the 737-800 BCF with 19 in service and 1 on order, all of which are operated for Amazon Air. Now that you know who Sun Country is, I have another question. Why is Sun Country unique? Personally, I'd say it's an airline that's special. It's an ultra-low-cost carrier, yet it seems nice on board. It's got full-size tray tables, legroom that doesn't look awful for a ULCC, and just a bit of charm to it for whatever reason. They somehow cover all grounds across passenger service, sports and casino charters, and cargo operations. With that all out of the way, I'd like to thank those of you who stuck around until the end. Please be sure to comment down below an airline that you think I should feature next, and subscribe for more content like this. Columbus Aviation signing out.